Welcome to my channel. Today's story is a heartbreaking reminder that love, no matter how deep, cannot survive where irresponsibility and recklessness are allowed to grow. It's the tragic story of William and Stephanie Meril, a couple whose love began in teenage innocence but ended with a bullet in a bathroom, and a child left to watch her world shatter. Have you ever trusted someone so much that you ignored all the red flags, just hoping things would get better? Keep that question in mind, because by the end of this story, you might find yourself wondering how many signs we miss before something irreversible happens. William and Stephanie met as teenagers. He was 14, she was 13. From the outside, their love looked pure, even cinematic. Friends said you could see the love in their eyes. They grew up together, built a life together, had a son and a daughter, and created traditions like family pizza nights and Thursday outings. If you were watching from a distance, you'd probably say they were lucky. But the truth lived behind closed doors. William, despite having a family to support, struggled with responsibility. He was restless, impulsive, and constantly chasing money through risky behavior. He had several run-ins with the law, drug possession, theft from his workplace, and worst of all, a disturbing obsession with guns. This wasn't just a hobby. William had over 20 firearms, many of them high-powered, fully automatic rifles, and all of them were illegal for someone with his criminal background. Stephanie, like many people in love, made excuses. Even after he was arrested in 2006 for domestic violence, hitting her, she told herself it wasn't who he really was, that it was a mistake, that he'd change. But William didn't change. He just got better at hiding how dangerous he could be. The most terrifying part? Those weapons were stashed all around the house, with 2 young kids living there, rifles in closets, guns in drawers. Nothing was locked away. Their son was 6, their daughter just 3. A tragedy was only ever one accident away. And then, one morning in February 2012, that accident arrived. William dropped his son at school and returned home. Stephanie was in the bathroom, bathing their daughter. William walked in and opened a bathroom cabinet, not to grab soap, but to retrieve an AK-47 rifle. He turned on the laser sight, pointed it towards Stephanie's chest, and joked about how visible the laser was in the steamy bathroom. Then, thinking the gun wasn't loaded, he pulled the trigger. But it was loaded. The bullet tore through Stephanie's chest and exited through her back. She collapsed in front of her husband, and worse, in front of their 3-year-old daughter, who sat in the bath just feet away. That child saw her mother fall. She saw the blood. She heard the silence. William panicked and called 911. The operator stayed on the line, trying to guide him through CPR. But it was too late. Stephanie died in that bathroom. She never made it to the hospital. When first responders arrived, they found the daughter wrapped in a towel, calmly repeating, "That's my mommy. That's my mommy." The innocence in her voice was devastating. William was arrested and held until trial. Friends and neighbors were divided. Some defended him, calling him a fool, not a murderer. Others, especially Stephanie's family, wanted maximum justice. They argued that his carelessness had cost Stephanie her life and left 2 children motherless. Stephanie's brother in court begged the judge to issue the harshest sentence possible. He said, in 1 second, because of his stupidity, William took away a mother, a daughter, and a sister. The most painful moment came when Stephanie's son, just 7 years old by then, told his grandfather he wanted to shoot himself to be with his mom again. The trauma in that home didn't end with Stephanie. It passed on, quietly, into the hearts of her children. William pleaded guilty. He cried in court. He apologized. He said he never meant to hurt her. But the court wasn't just judging the shot. It was judging the years of neglect, recklessness, and obsession with firearms. He was sentenced to 25 years in prison. Later, William filed an appeal, claiming his lawyer didn't explain his rights properly, but the appeal was rejected. He remains in prison and will not be eligible for release until at least 2037. He'll be 58. And those two children, they were placed in the care of their grandparents, left to grow up without their mother and with the haunting memory of that day. So what do we take from this? Detailed safety tips tailored specifically to the William Meril case, focusing on gun safety, domestic responsibility, and child protection, all designed to help prevent tragedies like this one. 1. Secure firearms at all times. Always store guns unloaded in a locked gun safe or lockbox that's inaccessible to children or unauthorized adults. Ammunition should be stored separately in its own locked container. Avoid storing firearms in casual, open areas like closets, drawers, or bathroom cabinets, as William did. These are easily accessible and extremely dangerous. 2. Educate every adult in the household. Every adult must understand firearm safety, especially if there are children in the home. There is zero excuse for not knowing whether a gun is loaded. Always assume it is. Do not allow anyone with a criminal record or history of domestic violence to possess firearms. This is illegal in most countries, including the US. 3. Childproof. Your home beyond the basics. Children are naturally curious and resourceful. Don't rely on out of reach or hidden as a safety method. Use tamper-proof locks on cabinets and closets where dangerous items are stored. Consider installing security cameras or child monitoring devices in high-risk areas. 4. Recognize and act on warning signs. If your partner has a history of violence, arrests, reckless behavior, or fascination with dangerous weapons, don't ignore it. Domestic abuse doesn't always look like bruises. It can be threats, intimidation, and carelessness that puts the whole family at risk. Get help. Talk to a therapist, call a helpline, or confide in someone you trust. 5. Never normalize irresponsible gun behavior. Never joke with guns. Pointing a firearm at someone, even as a joke, is a violation of the most basic safety rules. If your partner uses weapons to show off, play, or intimidate, leave the situation immediately. Document and report behavior that violates gun laws or child safety rules. 6. Teach children gun safety early. Even if you don't own a gun, children should know the rules. Don't touch a gun. Leave the area immediately. Tell an adult right away. Role-play scenarios so children remember what to do if they find a weapon. 7. Know the law and obey it. If you have any criminal record, do not try to buy, borrow, or keep firearms. Educate yourself about your local and federal laws. Ignorance isn't a defense in court. If you know someone who owns firearms illegally, report it before something goes wrong. 8. Be honest with yourself about your partner. Love can blind us to danger. If you constantly excuse risky or violent behavior, you might be enabling it. Ask yourself hard questions. Do I feel safe in my home? Would I feel safe leaving my kids alone with my partner? If the answer is no, please act before it's too late. 9. Create an emergency plan. Make sure your kids know how to call 911 and what information to give. Keep emergency contacts posted and accessible in every room. Practice escape routes and safe words if you ever need to leave in a hurry. 10. Understand that prevention is love. Protecting your family isn't just about hugs and birthdays. It's about setting boundaries, enforcing rules, and sometimes making painful decisions to keep them safe. Stephanie might still be alive today if the weapons had been stored properly, or if she'd acted on earlier warning signs. These tips aren't just for gun owners. They're for anyone living in a home where safety could be compromised by negligence, obsession, or emotional denial. Guns are not toys. They are not collector's items to be scattered through a house. They are instruments of death that require serious responsibility. And if you're a parent, your home is a sanctuary. If you can't protect it, you don't deserve to lead it. Tragedies like the one that ended Stephanie's life don't come out of nowhere. They are built on years of warning signs, ignored instincts, and dangerous habits that feel normal until they explode. That's why it's so important that we all take a moment to reflect, not just on William's mistakes, but on what we can do to protect the people we love. First and foremost, if there are firearms in your home, they must be locked, unloaded, and stored safely, away from children, away from guests, away from anyone who shouldn't have access. There is no excuse. A drawer isn't secure. A closet isn't secure. Even a hidden place isn't enough. Guns belong in lockboxes or safes with tamper-proof access. Period. If you have children, your responsibility multiplies. Kids are curious. They explore. They touch. They copy what they see. Never assume that your child doesn't know where the weapon is or that they won't find it. And if you live with someone who has a history of violence, recklessness, or illegal behavior, ask yourself this: am I safe? Are my children safe? Because love can cloud our judgment, but it can't save us from the consequences of looking the other way. Stephanie forgave William too many times. She made excuses. She believed the best in him. But belief isn't enough when safety is on the line. If your partner points a gun at you, even as a joke, that is not a joke. This story is about the dangers of ignoring warning signs. Stephanie loved William deeply. Maybe she believed love would be enough to change him. Maybe she hoped he'd grow out of his recklessness. But love is not a shield from consequences. If you're in a relationship where someone repeatedly endangers you or your children, please don't wait for it to become a tragedy. Act now. Love should never cost your life. The most loving thing you can do for your family is keep them alive. Thank you for staying with me through this story. I know it wasn't easy, but if it helps even one person secure their home or recognize a warning sign in time, then Stephanie's memory has made a difference. Don't forget to subscribe for more true stories that shed light on the hidden dangers in our everyday lives. And please, stay safe, because your story matters too.